a sinner's prayer. I don't know the rest of the words. Let's jump into it. So I watched the alleged vampire movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. From the top. So there was a jump scare in the beginning. I didn't love that. I don't like horror films. I don't like horror films, right? But I saw the billboard like a couple of months ago. I saw Ryan Coogler. I said, okay, I'm in. I saw Michael B. Jordan. I said, okay, fun. I've never really seen Michael B. Jordan in too many movies. Obviously, I watched Black Panther. Loved it. Both of them. But like I haven't seen any of the Creeds or anything. But I was like, I love Black Panther. So I'm going to trust Ryan. And I loved Michael B. Jordan in those. So I'm like, dynamic duo. Let's see what it's about. Black people in film. Yes. So I was like, I'm going to watch it. And then I found out upon research that it's a horror film. So I said, okay, that's, I'm used to something a little bit different, but I'm down. Nobody asked for this exposition, I'm sorry. Point is, I watched the movie. We bought it and watched it. And I really enjoyed it. I liked that there were a lot of different layers and things happening. I liked the casting. I liked the music. I liked that it wasn't too gory. I liked that the first hour or so, they said, "What vampires? Don't you worry." The horror, it was a double horror film. The racism was part of the horror, which that's a horror movie on its own. And then they were like, actually, girly, we also have vampires. And my one complaint is I didn't like the tropes that they used. It was just a very classic vampire tropes: the garlic, the steaks, the sunlight, and all that. Which I get it, but it's this is a chance to be even more innovative. But I guess also could have made them Haints, since they kept talking about that. It could have been that instead of a vampire. But again, if you're gonna do a vampire, let's the garlic. We've been doing that since the hundreds. It's 2025. But regardless, I loved it. Michael B. Jordan did a great job playing two different characters. CGI and stuff these days is crazy. The Parent Trap Wishes. Okay, they had this kind of technology, so that was good. I loved Annie. I believe that's her name. I enjoyed the storyline. I wish there was this could have even been a series for me. Because I want to know more about their lives before they came back, to Missouri, Mississippi, wherever they were. Mississippi, Missouri. Well, I would say Mississippi, but it's one of them. What was going on in Chicago? What was you doing with Al Capone? I want to hear more about how the Irishman became a vampire. What's his tea? I want to hear more about what happened with Michael B. Jordan's baby. Was it Smoke's baby or Stack's baby? I think it's giving Smokes, but I don't really know. What happened to the baby? And then I feel in one part of the movie, when they were at Annie's house, the first time he went over there, one of them was well, you couldn't keep our baby boy alive. But then later in the movie, they referenced the baby as a girl. So I'm confusion about that. I want to go back and just watch that part so I can see if it's in my head. It's I thought it was a boy and then they made it a girl. But also, it's 2025. The gender doesn't really matter. I just was that a plot hole or am I missing something? But I thought there are so many deeper stuff. I want to hear about this white lady who's not Haley Steinfeld's character. The light-skinned lady who passes, obviously. But is Haley Steinfeld? Is she white? Or is she the same makeup of her character? I don't know. I would like to learn more about the man who that iconic man. Anyway, the man who, the musician who was girl, let me pull up some information so I'm not sitting here just being ignorant. You know, like we don't have to live in ignorance. We have technology, we have the internet, we have Google that can answer all my questions. So first and foremost, they are in Mississippi. Perfect. Secondly, the character name was Delta Slim, played by Delroy Lindo. Iconic, excellent, but I'd like to know more about, him and his life. I could do a whole thing on Annie and her journey practicing hoodoo. I'm pretty sure she did hoodoo and not voodoo. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting. I'd like to know, probably already said this, but yeah, I did talk about the Irishman. I could, but anyway, let's just get into it. So, as if I haven't been getting into it this whole time, I was a little not confusion. Let's unpack some things. Let's just unpack. Okay. My iconic Chinese immigrants, Grace and, is it Kaiten or Chaitin? Either way, I thought it was really cool and interesting that they included them in the film because, around that time, I didn't know in Mississippi. Like, I knew there were a lot of Chinese immigrants in California and on the West Coast, and then a lot of places where the, railroads worked toward, did not know Mississippi, so that was an interesting piece of history, and I want to learn more about that. And I thought it was interesting that they had Southern accents. Okay, that's a fun twist, I guess, because whenever you see people of different, I'm not even sure if they're nationality, they must be American. So I'm gonna say of different races, a lot of times they have the accent of their quote country of origin unquote. It was interesting that they had Southern accents, and it very much gave the interconnectedness of communities of color until Grace turned, and I was like, this feels familiar, good enough to sell to and hang out with, but not good enough to keep alive, and also I'm trying, if you want to give her some grace, you can think about her motherly instinct kicking in and all that good jazz, but to me it gave traitor, it gave girl F these N words, everybody's dying today, so that I did not love, but I thought it was interesting. The Irishman, how he was, he's like, hey girls, I get it. I too have been done wrong and oppressed by the other Europeans / now Americans. So let's just we're in this together. But that was interesting. Okay, it's a smart thing to appeal to. So I thought I liked that. Also interesting how the indigenous people, the Native Americans, if you will, went to go try to help those white people and hey girlie, you let in a man. He's crazy. And they were like, what man? What are you talking about? And they said, listen, we're trying to help you. And they said, we don't know what you're talking about. And they said, all right, girl, the sun's going down. So we did what we could. Holler. Good luck. So I'm like, okay, I like that. He kind of showed just the different interactions between different cultures, which, sorry, I didn't watch the trailer, so I didn't know what the movie was going to be about. I just knew, I just heard it had vampires in it. It's like, okay, I just know it's vampires, that's all I know. And people are sinning. But yeah, so I thought, okay, so this is the movie. The movie is about, just the racial tension and growing up in not growing up, but living in Mississippi in the 1930s or whenever it was. But I'm like, obviously it's not going to be just that because we've seen that before, and I know this will be vampires. And then lo and behold, that man was a vampire, and he went ahead and killed that lady's husband, and then killed that lady. And I said, well, if you weren't in the Klan, maybe I would have some sympathy. If my boy didn't come up here on his horse trying to help you, maybe I would have sympathy. But girl, you get none. I enjoyed like the not knowing if people were turning into vampires or not. Like I like that Ryan Coogler like didn't show most of the people, at least, being turned into vampires, so you didn't really know if they were vampires or not. Like when Haley Steinfeld came back, you were like, oh, girlie, is she a vampire? I don't know. When Cornbread came back, you were like, girl, he's a vampire. But is he? You know? When that lady's husband came back, at that point, I was like, all right, girl, he's a vampire. But she tried to, she was holding on to hope. She was trying to convince Hope. But she needed to dream on because that wasn't going to happen. I can't believe she told them all to come in there, and they tried to stop her. She told them to come in there anyway. That really pissed me off. And like I get, like maybe it helps move the plot along, but it's like I hated that because it didn't have to happen. Like you could have kept your mouth shut. Like whether they want to go and get your daughter or not does not depend on what you're about to do, girlie. Because then they burnt you up 10 seconds later. So was it worth it? I hope so. You could have kept yourself alive till sunrise, and you could have went home and took care of your daughter. But now look at you. Sad. Shame. So like I didn't watch the trailer, so I was kind of shook when one of the Michael B. Jordans turned into a vampire, because I didn't know if that was going to happen or not. So that was kind of sad. And the fact that he let that bitch live is crazy. Like I get it because like it's your brother, but at the same time, you know it's not. You know it's a vampire. Like put him out of his misery, help him out. But we find out at the end of the movie that he did not kill his brother. He let him go and buy a bunch of Cookie sweaters and be the Fresh Prince of Mississippi, which a choice, but whatever. I liked the music scenes a lot. Of course, the scene where they're like when they're in the juke joint and then they're like showing all the different generations and everything. I thought that was incredibly well done. I thought it was beautiful. I loved how they just like linked different generations, but like different sectors of the diaspora. Like Africa's a giant place. Okay, like it's huge. It's a whole continent. And it's a continent kind of in the sense of like Asia or like South America. Really, all continents besides North America and Australia, really, and Antarctica. In the sense of like, just because they're on the same continent does not mean they're all the same, So like they represented different like African cultures and dances within like the different like ancient segments, and like some of the dances were ancient in the sense of like they've been around a long time, but they're I guess not ancient because they're still performed today. And like I got to learn about some new dances, and when that lady was twerking, I think I almost cried. I said, this is beautiful. We got this beautiful, jazzy song, all these. It's just like, I always just love when we reclaim twerking as like a substantial dance, because it is. Like, it does remind me of like ancestral dances, we just moving and shaking and having a good time. So I thought that was lovely. I liked how like each time they would go to like a new like era, the music would kind of reflect that, like the Run DMC era and like the twerk era. They had like a little bounce beat. little Sammy's just singing his little heart out. So I thought that was great. Even the little like we're gonna pick the hard R clean. That's not what it said, but it was like we're gonna pick that Robin clean or whatever. They're gonna pick somebody's bones. You're gonna eat somebody's flesh until there's nothing left but bones. Like even that was just really creepy. And like it was like the music made it creepy. Like, you know, like the vampires themselves are already creepy. Them singing this song with like straight faces and acting like they're nice was just so like eerie and like ugh. Ooh, bitch, when they was, you know, bounce on that shit, dance, when they was doing that like river dance segment and they were like all dancing around in a circle around him and he was just like looking up. That was iconic. I'm like, this is so, it's so just creepy but also beautiful. And I liked that like even like in like it just showed a lot. Like it showed how much control Remy, is that his name? Remy was, you know, like he had all these people doing like Irish dances, and it kind of just like showed like, hey girlie, like like you are all, I control all of you. You do what I say, you do what I feel. You are an extension of me. And I thought that was a really cool way to portray that they are all like an extension of him, but also give like a little shout out to Ireland. So I thought that was really nice and cool and well done. Same thing with Sammy. I like the way that you know, he played music throughout the movie. I want to know more about him having his is it his uncle? Yeah, his uncle's guitar. Michael B. Jordan's is his dad's guitar. Cause like did Remy, did he want, was it the guitar that lured him? And like, was that same Michael B. Jordan's daddy, was he also attacked by vampires? Like, what's the link there? Like, was he, watch this, I could make the link, that's the beauty of art. Okay, let me give a backstory. So Michael B. Jordan's dad, you know, he had the guitar, he was a famous musician, he sold his soul, all right? 'Cause that's what they did back in the day for movies and things, you know, everybody sold their soul. So he sold their soul, he sold his soul. Wait, isn't that what they said in the movie? He sold his soul, but like not to the devil, but to something, either way, bitch. He sold his soul, okay? But to do that, he had this is my story, I can make how I want. In order to do that, the vampires, no, he sold his soul, right? So he's got no soul. The vampires peep like, oh girl, bitch, we don't have souls anymore either. What's poppin'? Let's get into some mess, right? Something goes wrong, all right? Michael B. Jordan daddy ended up being like dead for real this time. And Remy, make it deeper, Remy's father, clock it, was friends with Michael B. Jordan's dad, but really he wanted his music, right? And so Remy grew up, boom, now he's a vampire too, like his daddy. But you know, now he has his dad's like memory and soul a little bit because he's who turned him, and he's drawn to this guitar. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know why, because the music's popping. And so he's drawn to this guitar. Sammy just happens to be the holder of the guitar, with this excellent talent and voice, and it just all works out. I'm still working it. Okay, it's still in the pre-writing days. But I did think it was interesting how like Ryan Coogler like showed or expressed pretty much appropriation, like how people like just, I gotta stop saying like how people just want, some people just want what you can do for them and nothing else. And not even that, since they want something that only you can do, but they don't want you. You know, like it's the tales all the time when it comes to music, right? Like pretty much all popular music stems from the blacks. But we also get like shut out of those areas. I think I like the approach that Ryan Coogler took, and like people just trying to like smooth talk, like, oh yeah, like, you know, oh, I just want to be like, your music is so good, it's so great, we need it, we just want to be a part of it, right? In reality, he didn't like care for Sammy as a person. In fact, he wanted to turn Sammy into an extension of himself by making him a vampire, right? But he tried to like doctor it up and say like, oh, you know, it's just so good, and we just really need it. Nobody can play like you, and that's kind of what they do, right? We just need it. Nobody can play like you, and then they take all your money. Really, you're just like a face and a voice for the label, if you will. So I thought that was interesting. I thought this movie had a lot of layers to it. It dealt with, you know, obviously racism, but like the different relationships between different cultures back then in the South. I dealt with, like, you know, death and loss. It dealt with treachery, colorism a little bit. First of all, why did that lady come in there and let Minnie Miles Davis Jr., what's his name, Sammy, get under her skirt? Not let, but like invited him to. Like, don't you have a husband? And then she had the decency to be like, well, let me go wash off. And then Sammy was like, nar. Which, to each their own, I guess. But all in all, I enjoyed Miss Sinners. She was a good time. I want to watch it again, just so I can, like, really analyze and, like, get answers to the questions that I have. But I'm not really a movie girl, so it'll take me a while to watch it again. But when I do, I'll be ready to take notes. And at this point, the AC has been off for 22 minutes, and it's getting warm. So I'm going to go ahead and call it here so I can turn it on. But yes, if you have not seen Sinners yet, I believe it's on Max today. If it's not today, I know it's this week, but I know it's coming on HBO Max like the first week of July, so it might be today. So if you haven't seen it yet, you know, go ahead and go watch it. And until next time, I'm thinking of like, I might do like a plant tour video. Or I've been like binging some shows, so I might talk about those, but also might not. But in the meantime, stick to the plot. The plot is Sinners in theaters and streaming and for purchase now. And until next time, happy Pride. Even though Pride is over, it's always happy Pride in this bitch.